Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the BrOT podcast, where we talk about all things occupational therapy and healthcare. I am your host, Adam. I'm flying solo today, so I wanted to just make a quick little video talking about some of the benefits of a career in occupational therapy. Because I know last time we talked a lot about the admissions process and all the trials and tribulations that go along with that. So really, for any prospective students who want to pursue occupational therapy as a career, I really wanted to take this opportunity to talk about some of, the good things about, pursuing that career and really completing the journey. Because it is a long journey. I know you have to, first of all, complete high school, which, thank God I never have to go back. But also you get a bachelor's degree, then you go on to a master's degree or an entry-level doctorate. We might cover the difference between those two in a later video. But after all that work and all that time and all that money, looking at that as someone considering the profession as a possibility for their future, it can be a lot to take in, and it can really make someone second guess whether it's the right fit for them. So really, I just wanted to take today to talk about the good things. And first and foremost, I wanted to talk about the fact that occupational therapists make pretty good money. Now, I understand that's not what it's all about, for most people anyway. You want some element of meaning in your career. But, money matters. You want to be able to live. You want to be able to eat and have a good home and maybe raise a family if you're that type of person. And so what you make at your job makes a big difference, especially when you're talking about a long stint in, education, or, when it comes to the process of getting the degrees that you need to work in the field. So let's kick things off. The median pay, and this statistic comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's from 2017, so it's a few years old, but not too old. Median pay for OT is quoted at about $83,000 per year. So that's a solid wage. Obviously, that's a median, so some people are going to make a little bit more, some people are going to make a little bit less, but ultimately OTs are making good money. And, that matters a lot. And of course, that'll depend on your specialty as well. What you decide to do as an occupational therapist will impact how much you make. Yeah. I also want to point out that the number of jobs out there is expected to increase much faster than average for most jobs. The outlook from 2016 to 2026 is quoted at about 24%. And yeah, so not only are you making good money as an OT, but the future of OT, from what I can see in the data and from where I'm sitting, is pretty bright. You can have a long, successful career in this field. It's not going away anytime soon. Not if I have anything to say about it, definitely. So yeah, I know the application process that we talked about, all the work and all the classes, can be kind of overwhelming. But even just beyond the money that you stand to make, and all that, which matters, I really can't stress enough. The money you make matters. That is a huge factor when planning out your future as a professional. But beyond just that, I feel like, at least for me, occupational therapy is a very special field. I think we touch people in the medical system in a way that is really unlike any other profession. Because yeah, we incorporate the medical model, the standard in healthcare. We take care of the person and their illnesses and their deficits, and we treat whatever condition they come to us suffering from. But beyond that, I think one thing that OT does that's really special, that really sets it apart, is looking beyond that medical model, taking into account what a person feels, their family, their workplace, their values, their culture, just delving into every element of their life and really finding out what makes them tick. Because I think more so than any other profession, we treat the whole person, not just whatever condition they happen to be dealing with. And I think that's really amazing. I think that's really special. And I'm not the most touchy-feely guy in the world, but I want the work I do to make a difference in people's lives. And I think occupational therapy really does that. I suppose, I don't know, I talked about my own journey towards occupational therapy a little bit in our previous podcast. But since I have the time here, I might go into a little bit more detail about my own experiences, what led me to this point. When I first got out of high school, I didn't have much direction, honestly. I was just kind of going through the motions. And I happened to get into college, but I only did that because I thought that was just the thing to do when I was, during that time. That's what everyone was pressured to do. Started off at one school, really didn't like it, ended up transferring to a different school where I found some really great mentors and ended up walking away with a degree in exercise science. Worked in the field for about a year. Not the greatest opportunities out there if you just have a bachelor's degree in exercise science. At least there weren't when I was out there. I eventually went on to a master's degree in exercise physiology. And again, I met some amazing mentors. It really broadened my horizon in a way that I had never expected previously. And once again, however, I got out into the field. I was a certified exercise physiologist of the ACSM, the American College of Sports Medicine. And it was still really hard to find work. I had a lot of knowledge, a lot of practical skills, but it was tough out there. It was very tough. And I did eventually get a really great job with the Minnesota Department of Human Services as a recreation therapist, and that was really good for the time that I worked there. It was a good full-time job, decent pay, great benefits. Those state jobs, they always have the best benefits. Super inexpensive healthcare, pension, the works. But ultimately, I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I could very easily do it for the rest of my life and retire pretty happily, and that would be okay. But it wasn't really what I ultimately wanted to do. Something was missing. And it was around this time in my life when my mom, we lived in Minnesota, she slipped off her front steps and shattered her elbow. And it was just decimated. They basically had to replace the whole joint to make it functional again. And she had her surgery, and I happened to be in town while she was recovering. I heard she was going to occupational therapy for treatment. And, I'm the type of guy who wants to, I never want to stop learning. I always want to see what different professionals are doing, what different fields are doing. So, and also just, I'm a dutiful son, so I drove my mom to her appointments. And I watched the occupational therapist work. And I will say, in that moment, as I watched her work, as I spoke to her about her job, something kind of clicked. It felt like the right thing for me to do. It's something that struck a chord in me in a way that had rarely happened to me in the past. So I did more research, lots of research, because I had been down this road before. I already had a master's degree related to health science, and I didn't want to just get another one and find out that it didn't really make a difference career-wise. But the more research I did, I saw that OTs made good money, that they were well respected, that they enjoyed their jobs, that there were a lot of jobs to be had. And I also did more research into how they worked and what they did for patients. And after a while, after that moment of inspiration and after a little bit more, nuts and bolts research, I decided that it was the right path for me. And I've already touched on the application process a little bit in the previous podcast and whatnot, so I won't go into too much detail. Suffice to say, it was difficult. It took me 2 years to get in, and oof, it was a rough ride. After that first defeat, that first year, I was devastated. It took a lot. It tested my resolve to come back the following year and try again. But in the end, I got in. And I made it through my first year, and here I am, about to go into the second one. And that has not been without its challenges. I had to move to a completely different part of the country, and that was hard. Every aspect of my life changed when I did that. But so far, I've made amazing friends. I'm on track to have a great career as an OT, and I'm really happy with what I've done so far. And I'm hoping that things only continue to get better. Of course, there'll be challenges. Probably challenges the likes of which I could never have expected. But I'm really happy pursuing occupational therapy. I feel like it's a calling for me. It's a field that I love, a field that I believe in, and it's a field that I think many other like-minded people would thrive in. So throughout this podcast, throughout everything that we do here on this channel, I really want to encourage people who feel that OT might be for them to endure the hard times, to do the work, and really carve out their place in this field of occupational therapy. I think it's one of the best jobs in the world, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of it. So no matter what we talk about in the future, the highs, the lows, the challenges that we all face as students and as therapists, no matter how difficult it sounds, I just want everyone listening to remember that anything worth having is worth working for. That's what I'm doing. That's what my classmates are doing. What all of my professors and all the OTs that I know, it's what we all did. It's what we all continue to do. So, yeah, if you're thinking about occupational therapy as a career, obviously make sure it's for you. Be very sure that you do your research, you know what you're getting into going in, but it's worth the work. It really is. So, I guess that's all for today. I know that was a little bit shorter than a full podcast, but flying solo today, I just wanted to just kind of touch on the stuff that really matters when you're picking out a career. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will be back with another full podcast very soon.